Hello everyone, my name is Magdalena Wolff. Welcome to Wolff&Schafe podcast. Um, I am Polish, so my English might be weird, the way I speak and choose my words. I'm sorry for that, please bear with me. Um, I wanted to wish you everything best in the new year. It's the year of the monkey in Japanese calendar. And this is a lovely card I got from my friend who lives in Japan. Um, well, the previous year was really good for knitters because it was the year of the sheep. But it's over. Now we're stuck with the monkey. Um, this is my co-host, because you know how many podcasters, they have cats. I do not have a living cat. I have a child, but his presence would prevent me from recording, so he cannot be my co-host. So this is a bit devilish cat I got from my friend Ilona. His name is Domarad, and he will be appearing from time to time to be, instead of a real cat. So, hello, meow. And so, what made me start my own podcast? Actually, I've been podcasting before, but in Polish. You must know that even though in English-speaking world, podcasts are really popular, in Poland they are still not. And I was the only one. I mean, I still am, as far as I know, I'm the only one podcasting. So it's a challenge. It's interesting and fun to do, but I'm alone. I'm the only one. I cannot, how podcasters, they mention each other on their shows and they can, like be a part of the community. So I also wanted to join you. So that's why I'm trying to do it in English. It's not my mother tongue, so, I will be sometimes stumbling for words. I apologize for that. So yes, my favorite podcaster is Kristen from Yarngasm uh, and Wool and Vine Yarns. She is really inspiring, and that's the podcast I always watch. I mean, I follow it. Um, Always, and I also was very much inspired by Laura from the Dyer's Notebook. She's really great. I mean, she's also like Kristen. She's hand dyeing yarn, hand dyeing hand dyeing yarn. And she really generously shares her knowledge. It's like the title says, it's the dyer's notebook. So she says, she tells a lot about her technique. She gives advice, and I really appreciate it because I learned a lot from her show. So I wanted to say hi to them if they ever happen to watch me. Um, and what else? Who am I? My situation is a bit complicated when it comes to geography and languages, because as I said, I'm Polish. I was born in Warsaw, and there I studied Japanese language and culture, hence the monkey. And by the way, these are plum blossoms, which mean early spring, the beginning of spring in Japan. That's why they're here. And also, I have a German last name, and I am currently living in Switzerland, in a German-speaking part near Zurich. We've been living here for 3 years, me and my husband, and then our son was born. He's almost 2. He was born here in Switzerland. So in a way, I'm coming back to my roots because it's a German spoken part of Switzerland, and my great grandfather came from Germany to Poland around the middle of 19th century to work there because glasswork was created, and it was in need of specialists, glassmakers. So my whole family on my father's side, the Wolffs, they were somehow connected to glassmaking, and they all lived in one village that was built around the glasswork. So we could say that I come from a long line of crafters. Yeah. So also I learned knitting from my grandmother, my father's mother, meaning the Wolff grandmother. And I learned from her a lot of things when I was small, including knitting, but then I didn't knit almost at all, like an occasional scarf from time to time, but nothing more advanced, until I got pregnant. And somehow I got an impulse from I don't know where. It just appeared in my head that I would like to knit again. So then I contacted sorry, my hair. I remembered a lady from one party, like a grill barbecue party, who was knitting there, and I thought that's the person who could introduce me to the modern knitting world, and she did. She's my friend Muriel. Hi, Muriel. And she showed me everything, like Ravelry, and then I was gone. Like Ravelry, of course, then I discovered what YouTube can offer, and it was it was impressive because, as I told you, I learned when I was small, so let's say like 8 years old or something, and there was no internet whatsoever. And now imagine the difference. I also discovered that the way I'm knitting is different to those videos I see on YouTube, because you might have not heard about it, but there is a style of knitting called, well, it has different names, but let's use one for convenience. It's called Eastern European style, and it's a variation of continental style, and it makes purling really easy. So this is the way I learned from my grandma. And then I discovered that there are other ways, like continental style, British style, and I was very confused. So for now I'm using a mix of these. I mean, I don't mix them in one project, but when I knit something flat that requires a lot of purling, I use Eastern European style. And when I do something in a round, I just knit continental style because it's more convenient for me. Yeah, so what else should I say about myself? Oh yeah, here, as I said, I live near Zurich, and we have a meetup, a knitting and crochet meetup. And that's how I met a lot of wonderful people. I also got introduced there by Muriel, and it's a lot of fun. And if girls, if you're watching, I also say hi to you. And I go on Wednesday meetings. We have also Sunday meetings and Tuesday evening meetings. So it's well, a wide variety. choose from. We usually meet at the places like Starbucks, so we drink coffee or tea and chat and knit away, which is great. And it's done in English, because still, even though I have those ancestors, my German is still not on uh, on a level high enough just to speak fluently. But I will be working on that, yes. I mean, I was attending a German course, but the birth of my child just interrupted, and after that I was just too busy to continue my studies. But I will continue. I want to, because you probably have figured it out that I like learning languages, so it would be nice to use the opportunity while I'm here to learn more. I am on a level that I can have a conversation with the teachers in my son's daycare about his like everyday stuff, but nothing fancy. And this is my mug that I got from a friend who also lives here near Zurich, and it means, yeah, Mama rocked, Mama rocks. And I'm drinking Vietnamese green tea, Che Thanh Nguyen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it that correctly, but it's very delicious. Mm. So, how about me showing you some knitting? As many others, I have starting on hexi puffs. I have now something around 15, I'd say. For those of you who don't know the pattern, it's the beekeeper's kilt, and it's meant to be constructed from like these sections. It's basically a way to use your scrap yarn. I'm using it like in the pattern with fingering weight yarn, because it's a waste, and you have it in your stash, like this few amount that is left after your project, and then you don't know what to do with it. So yeah, I started it, and I'm like not planning to finish it any soon. I think it will take me years to complete, but it is a fun project. So for now, this is from a really one of my first project after I restarted knitting, and I knew not much about good yarn back then. I also didn't know whether I will be really into that new hobby, so I didn't buy anything expensive. And this is in fact half acrylic, half wool. It's Alize batik, and it has lovely shifts of color. I made a shawl for my grandma, because my first large project I dedicated to her, because she's great, other than a great crafter, because she can knit, she can crochet, she can sew, she can embroider, and many other things. She's just a great person. So I made her a citron shawl, and I have still some leftovers, so I use it for this. And this is from this is a leftover from my own shawl. I knitted a ginkgo shawl, and it's from local yarn, meaning it's Swiss yarn, 50% merino, 50% silk, Siedegarte, and in fingering weight. And it's very soft, really gorgeous and expensive. And this is inexpensive. So these are my recent 2 hexi puffs, and I have just finished, because many people, when their friends are expecting a baby, they knit blankets, and I don't like knitting blankets. I get bored. So I prefer, if I'm in a hurry, I just knit a hat, which is of course much smaller a thing than a blanket, but still it's something. But this time I knit a sweater, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry called Paxton. And yes, it's by Stitchy Mama on Ravelry. I've knitted this before when my son was really small. It's for a newborn basically, but it can be used longer, I suppose. And oh yeah, and I used this yarn from the sweater that I have here. It was terracotta pullover by Tanisla Valet, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I had this yarn left, and it's Lanagato Super Soft, 100% merino, and these cute flower buttons. Not really. Oh yeah, now you can see them. And the other color is the same yarn, just in a different color. So I thought I will make a little bee, a little bee sweater for the baby. It will be a girl. Her name will be Julia. I mean, in Polish it's Julia. Okay, so and I used needles size 4 millimeters for this. It was knit. The major part was knit flat, and the sleeves on DPNs. And yeah, I have that problem with. Do you have that problem that when you pick up stitches from stitch holders, I sometimes twist the stitches and I see it after some time, and then it's done, and I just don't want to rip back when I'm like, yeah. With this sleeve I did it correctly, but with this I just twisted them, and oops, maybe the baby won't mind. What I also finished just recently, and it's still damp from blocking. It's still blocking, but I can show it to you. It's a cowl for a man, my friend Tom. Hi Tom, but I don't expect you to be watching this. So this is a Zial pattern, free pattern on Ravelry. Wait a second, by Alison Goldthrope, and I've actually knit this one before for my husband, and when we were discussing with Tom what I will make him, what kind of cowl I will make him, and he saw a picture of my husband wearing that, he said, oh, that's cool. So I decided I will make that. The technique used there, it's called smocking, and it creates those nice lines. And it's basically it's ribbing and this smocking here. I mean, this is smocking, and this creates those X shapes. It's very cool and easy, really easy. I recommend it highly. The yarn I used this time is actually the yarn recommended in the pattern, which never happens with me because usually I just cannot get hold of the yarn they are suggesting, because I don't know, in my country they don't sell it or something, and I just use something else. So this time I used the yarn that is suggested in the pattern, and it was Malabrigo Rios in the colorway Playa, which I love. I think it's really gorgeous. I think it is. I'm not showing this all the time because it's still damp, so sorry for that. Yes, so I have one more FO to show you. I have, come on. I have taken part in Mr. in Italy, and it was my first one ever, Mr. in Italy. It was hosted by Justyna Lorkowska. She's a Polish designer, and I had the pleasure to meet her actually in Switzerland. When she was here, there was a Swiss Wool Festival, like Swiss Wool Festival, held in Zug. And she had workshops there, and I happened to attend her workshops. They were in English because some of them were in German and some of them were in French and some were in English, so I chose English workshops. And then we chatted a bit afterwards in Polish, of course. But anyway, so she hosted this Mr. in Italy. It was called Buccaneers Shawl, and it had two versions, more well, feminine and unisex, two versions. And I thought I will choose the other one, just because I thought there will be a lot of lace, and I'm not a great fan of knitting lace because I lose the stitches, and I just thought it will be easier for me. And it's gorgeous and it's huge. I have to go a bit away to show you how huge this is, like a sail, like, you know, I could use it for my own ship. And it's asymmetrical. It has these like wider zigzags, and then there is a repeat of the zigzags, but they're thinner, and it looks like this. Yeah, it's huge. Really it is, but it is perfect now for winter. I've been to Poland for Christmas and we had minus 15 degrees, so I was really, really warm and comfy in this. But it's huge. But thanks to the concept of knit along, I was knitting on it like crazy and finished it in 1 month. So I'm happy. Just a sec. Okay, so as I mentioned, now the pattern is available, like the whole of it, and I will post a link in the like under my video down there. So what yarn did I use? My main color is Madeline Tosh Merino Single in Maple Leaf colorway, and I absolutely love it. It's greens and green and gold together, like they make wonderful colors together, and usually when I make it closer, like to the camera, everything gets pink around. See? So yeah, it's a really fresh color, but when I soaked the shawl, it really bled. Like there was a lot of color going out, and I was surprised because it's such a light color, but still. And also I was surprised because when I was knitting, this color, this dark blue, it actually colored my fingers, and I was very surprised because when I was knitting, you know, when I'm knitting, I have the thread on my forefinger, my index finger, and then when I put my project away, I went to do something, and then I saw on my finger like a line, and I'm like, what is this? Like, did my son like paint me with something like a ball paint or whatever? And then it turned out that it's actually the yarn But then when I washed the shawl, it did not bleed. I don't know. I don't understand. So I have a lot of Madeline Tosh here. Suggested in the pattern, actually. I used unicorn tails for the smaller zigzags, like this one. I think it's a celadon color, and this very dark green, it was Cousteau. And yeah, the bleeding, the coloring yarn was by fibers based vivacious yarn in Blue Lagoon, I'd say, I think. And this one is actually my own hand-dyed yarn in maple and pine colorway. So yeah, I made this majorly in greens and blues. The colors that Justina used originally are totally different sets of colors, but I thought I will make my own idea. And well, actually, I mean, greens and blues, they resemble of the sea, so there is a connection here. I made this like the main color. I made this on 3.5 millimeters, and the smaller zigzags were 1 needle size down, so it was 3 millimeters. And yeah, it's huge. I've never knitted a shawl so large, but it's very soft and lovely and warm because I have already worn it while in Poland, and it was very cold. So yeah, I'm happy with the result. Oh yeah, I had problems with blocking because I used my table and I measured it has 200 inches. The length is 200 inches, and it was still too short for 200. Am I lying to you? It's not 200. It's, or wait a minute. Not 200. God, it's centimeters. Sorry, it's 200 centimeters, meaning 80 inches. Yeah, now it makes sense. Sorry. So yeah, 80 inches long, and still it was too short for me to stretch this shawl. I had to, like, this tip was just like this because I couldn't stretch it. But other than that, it blocked wonderfully. I used blocking wires and it was perfect, but I just need a larger table, or now maybe I could block it on the floor, but since I have the child, I'm used to not blocking things on the floor. That's the thing. So these are my FOs, and now to a sad story of my Mystery Plus Manners gloves. I mean, it's not a sad story, it's just the thing that I started it when I was in Poland and I left one of my needles there. So yesterday I just sat, I spread my chart in front of me and I got ready to knit it. And yeah, it's supposed to look like this. And then I discovered I lack one needle. And it's bad because the chart is split. You need 5 needles to knit it, like, easily. So this is how far I am with the first glove. And it's a gorgeous but free pattern on Ravelry by Billie Jane, I think. She's famous for those wonderful stranded knitting. Yes, Billie Jane. I fell in love with this pattern, but I've never done color work before. I mean, I made something like this, okay? This is like 2 colors, but never stranded knitting. And so I had to learn, like you can see here, that it was knitted too tight, so it's like it's hiding, unfortunately. But then I got the like found my own way of knitting, stranded knitting projects, and it's okay now. I just need my needle. Uh, so it will be just hibernated for some time, and I'm quite happy with the result. There are the peacock's tails here, and here is the back, and it's very pretty. I really love it. And the yarn I'm using, this is Cascade Yarns sock yarn, 75% merino, 25 nylon. I think it's, I don't know if it's a name or did I just make it up. But it's a mustard color, right? And this is Malabrigo because recently I've been buying a lot of Malabrigo yarn. 100% merino. This is Malabrigo sock and Lotus colorway, and I adore this colorway. There are purples and teals and turquoises, and they play so wonderfully together. And thanks to that, I have a solid main color, and the contrasting color is actually changing colors. So I thought it would be a really nice effect. Well, in fact, I will be in Poland again in around 2 weeks, so it's not like on hold for so long, but still it was really disappointing to realize that I left my needle. It's not lost. My sister found it. I actually knew where I could have left it, so I told her to look there, and she found it. So it's there, but I can't work on my glove, and I wanted gloves because it's cold outside, and I have some gloves, but I wanted knitted gloves. So yeah, that's the thing. And oh yeah, so I have another thing on my needles. As I mentioned, I really like Kristen's Yarngasm podcast, and I thought I usually knit socks toe up with Afterthought heel, but I thought I will try her favorite socks pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. She generously put it there, like she put together her like her recipe for her plain vanilla sock. So I wanted to try it, and it's with heel flap, reinforced heel, but I thought I will also try something like new to me in a way. Well, I've knit one pair of socks with a heel flap, so it's not new to me. But the other thing is, I've tried magic loop technique before, but it was just, I'm just looking there because there's a bird on my balcony. Sorry. We live on the 10th floor, and we're in a valley. I have like there I see mountains, and in the middle of the valley we have a river Zil, so it's really beautiful here. And sometimes there are, for example, those birds of prey called kites, not the kite that you put on the wind on the rope, but the bird kites. Oh, there's a teat. She's so cute. Sorry. So yeah, so they fly here near my window sometimes, like so close I can see the color of their beaks. It's so awesome. But where was I? Oh yes, so magic loop. I tried it because when I restarted knitting those like 2.5 years ago, I was totally like, I have to try everything. And so I tried magic loop, and I was too inexperienced with knitting, I think, because I failed completely and I didn't like it, so I just turned to DPNs. But I always wanted to try again because so many people recommend it and like it, so I wanted to give it a try again. But it would be too easy just to knit one sock magic loop for the first time. Yeah, right. So I heard about people. Actually, one of my friends from our meetup, Zurich meetup, um, showed me that she's knitting 2 socks at the same time on a really long cable, and I thought, yeah, I will try that. Why not? I was a bit afraid that I will fail again, since it's even more difficult because you have 2 socks and whatnot. But then it actually worked. So, well, I have just started. But here I am, and I have my I have recently been to Paris, and I bought these as my stitch markers for socks. These cute Eiffel towers with, there was a set of 3, and one has a heart, one has a ladybug, and the third one I have here, and it has a clover. Yay! It's cute. So yes, I'm up till here, and the beginning was hard, as like, you know, with when you start a project, it's always harder, and now it's great. I'm using Xiaogu 2.5 millimeters on 120 centimeters cable, which is long, as you can see. And I'm not sure how it will work when I will get to the heel flap, because I don't know. I will see. For now it's great. It really moves well on the cable. The needles are great. I love them. They're really light, but they, like, you can insert them really easily into the stitch. So for now, yay! I'm happy with myself. And the yarn, I have, like, because these are 2 socks, I have 2 balls. The yarn is actually this one that I showed you, Wolff&Schafe Maple and Pine colorway. It's a sock yarn with nylon. Yes, and also I bought this lovely. This is my first project bag that I have ever bought, because before I was like, I got one from my friend Muriel, the one that reintroduced me to knitting. She was sewing some project bags, and she gave me as a present one of them. And then I wanted to make one myself, but I don't own a sewing machine. I also don't know how to use it. So anyway, I had to sew everything by hand, because that's what I learned at school. We didn't use machines. We were sewing by hand, and it takes ages. I know I'm a knitter. Knitting takes longer even, but I don't know. I'm not that much into sewing, especially by hand. So maybe one day I will show you my frog project bag. But yeah, this is the first I ever bought, and it awaited me in the mail when I Nelly Welly on Etsy. She's from UK, and yeah, she makes project bags, and I fell in love with these cute little birds. It has a handle, very handy, and what I really also love about it, it has these birds inside, which is so cute. So I keep my favorite socks in here. What did I not mention? Did I mention everything? Sorry, I'm just a bit confused. Okay, so yeah, so these are my things that are on the needles. What did I want to say? Oh yes, so as I mentioned, I'm also hand dyeing yarn, And again, hello Kristen, you were my inspiration for that. Um, and just recently I have opened my own Etsy shop. I'm very excited about it. It's called Wolff&Schafe as well. Um, because with the name I decided also to go back to the roots of my German ancestors, and also just insert my name there. Um, so that's how, and I'm the wolf there, and I love all these sheep. So I thought I would show you some samples of my yarns, just to give you an idea. For example, this is one of my first colorways. It's called Life of a Dandelion, because it has all the shades of dandelion's life, meaning like fresh greens when it is still like a little sprout, and then more mature greens when it's bigger. Then there's yellow for the petals, and then when it gets old, the white for these, fluffy stuff. So yeah, this is my logo that I designed. And yeah, so other one is this. This is maple and pine on the skein. And this is this is 100% superwash Polworth wool. And yeah, it looks like that. It has like darker greens for the pine needles and browns for the bark, and some rusty colors for maple, autumn colors, and more a bit fresher green. So that's it. And here I really love this one. It's called Silver Towers, and it was like the name for the color was inspired by a character, like a really minor character in the Witcher series. You might have heard about the video game, computer game, The Witcher. It's based on short stories and novels by Andrzej Sapkowski. I love the game. I mean, I played Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, but we would have to buy a new computer probably to play Witcher 3. So I have still that one to play. Anyway, I also loved books. The books are great, and if you can, read them. So yes, these are majorly grays, bluish grays with some darker spots, with some brownish spots as well. And this is worsted weight superwash merino. Okay, and now here I have this is the same base as superwash merino worsted, and it's called the colorway is Rhine Gold. It was inspired by the treasure of Siegfried from Nibelungenlied, the Song of Nibelungs, that also inspired Tolkien about the cursed ring, if you're curious. Well, anyway, I love the story of Siegfried or Sigurd from the Norse sagas. This is almost like the same character and similar story. And this is called after the treasure, the gold that was cursed. So it has yellows, oranges, old gold colors, some rust as well. So it's very, very warm. And then I have something not warm. It's mostly teals, blues, some greens, and some darker brownish spots, and it reminded me of one character from a cartoon that I watched when I was small. There was, I think it was made in Czechoslovakia when it still existed, when it was not split into Czech Republic and Slovakia. Well, anyway, they made a story about water sprite, and he's the place where he lived had these colors, and it's actually a creature from Slavic mythology. It's called vodnik, meaning yeah, a creature of water. And the one from the story was, of course, cute and friendly, but in Slavic mythology they could be helpful and friendly, but they could also, for example, capture your soul in a bowl, in a bowl, and keep it underwater. So that's why you would not take a bath before decided time in the year, because you could be captured and drowned. So yeah, so this colorway is called wodnik, from water in Polish, and in many other Slavic languages is woda. So wodnik for the water sprite. And this is also the superwash merino worsted, and this is how it knits up. I have it on another base. It's Polwarth, the fingering weight. Oh, the camera is eating it up. Oh no. Well, anyway, it has some speckles in it. And my grandma made these because, I asked my grandma what she thinks about the undyed yarn that I bought, because, well, she's experienced, and I gave it to her for to try it out. And she said it's good quality, so I'm happy. And oh yeah, and I have another one for Rheingold. It looks like this. It knits up like this. So yeah, these are my yarns, more or less. Oh, one fell off. Sorry. I have also, yesterday, I had an accident in the dyeing pot. And that's majorly because I bought new syringes for measuring my amount of dye. And I wanted to dye a colorway called Rose Petals that I cannot show you because I sold it 2 days ago. But it's a subtle purple and pink mix. And the new syringe that I bought lied to me. Like, it said, oh, you have this and this much of milliliters, and it was actually more. So it got really strong, really strong. But I thought it's very nice. So, and I called it Crocus Frenzy. You know, crocus, these flowers that produce saffron. There are lots of them in Polish mountains in the south of Poland. So yeah, I have this one, and this is merino, 100% merino, and I have one that is not exactly dried yet, but they were together in the pot. Oh, come on. So it's not dried, so it's not twisted in a hank yet, but it's also, you can see it's really a vivid, bright color. Maybe on the camera it looks a bit colder, a bit cooler than it is. In fact, it's more purplish than it looks like. But anyway, this is 75% merino and 25% Tassa silk. And it has this lovely shine to it because of the silk. So yeah, that was my accident, and and I also made a new colorway. I called it Rose Quartz in Ice, but I am not still sure, because I really wanted a very subtle pink, like a shell pink, but I'm not sure whether it's not too subtle, and I don't know what to do, whether leave it like this or just try and over dye it a bit, like to make it stronger. Please tell me what you think, because I'm confused. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I have forgot to mention one other thing. I wanted to finish with my yarn, but I forgot. I wanted to show you one other thing, and because I've been fighting with myself for quite a while about it, and I told myself I already have too many hobbies. I don't need more, and I will, it will consume time that I could use for other hobbies, and I will be buying new tools and materials and everything, and that won't be good. And I was fighting for like a month and a half with myself, but then I finally gave up, and it's also partly Kristen's from Yarngasm fault. I blame you, lady. Yeah, I bought a spindle. I bought a spindle. I'm sorry, it's a bit hot with 2 layers of wool. So I bought also a class on Craftsy by Drusilla Pettibone. Spindling from fluff to stuff. And it's great. She's very great, and that's also why I bought the bottom whorl spindle, because she uses that in her lessons. And I bought actually a kit. There was this spindle, a nice bag to keep it, and yeah, some fluff from Welsh sheep that the person I bought it from prepared it herself, and this was created in their workshop. So I had 100 grams of this fluff, and I'm already done with half of it, and I did it in 2 days. Well, which is understandable, since when I started I was producing really like thick, lumpy, bumpy yarn. And gosh, where did I put it? I have yarn everywhere. Oh yeah. So yeah, I started with like, really thick thingies. And it's actually, this ball has my like first tries outside, and inside are my better threads. So, well, but I can show, well, yeah, it's very variegated thickness, but I'm slowly getting to, something more consistent and thinner. So that's what I did in 2 days. And I also have, I bought it when I ordered my my dyes for my yarn. They had, well, I think mostly for felting. They were equipped for felting, because felting is still more popular in Poland than spinning, but I can spin it. It's merino, and it's dyed, 25 grams. But for now, I'm learning on this. It's natural yarn, fleece. And when I'm done with it, I can, I can treat myself to spinning with something more interesting. And also, I had a talk with my friend Muriel, and she told me that she tried spinning, but she decided it's not her thing, but she has some fleece left. So I will be getting her fleece, which she doesn't need. So yay, I will have more to obsess about. So yes, this is my first episode, and we're saying goodbye now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again next time. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you have any comments, please leave them there under the video. And Happy knitting. I need this hand. So happy knitting. Bye.